If you're wondering where to start with this writer's strong, clean prose, we've compiled a list of the 15 best John Steinbeck books. Number 1. East of Eden. This 1952 novel is a book of biblical scope and intensity. In telling the multi-generational stories of the Hamilton and Trask families, Steinbeck also tells the story of the Salinas Valley, observed from afar as it changes with the passage of time. How do you know? The book asks, if you're meant to be a good or a bad person. Is it your fate to be one or the other? Is there any point in trying to assume control of your life? As the protagonists of this expansive masterpiece, which Steinbeck himself considered his magnum opus, find themselves enacting the actions of Adam and Eve and Abel and Cain, the reader is swept along by a powerful and compassionate narrative that leaves them certain they're in the presence of a truly great mind. In the great whirl of East of Eden, we're gifted that breathtaking sense of seeing humanity in bird's eye view, suddenly small, ever striving, and deeply affecting. Number 2. The Grapes of Wrath. Set during the Great Depression, this classic historical fiction novel has a tumultuous past. Banned from a number of schools and libraries when first published, it went on to win a Pulitzer Prize in 1940 and sell more than 15 million copies. The story follows the Jodes, a poor family of farm workers from Oklahoma, as they make a long and desperate journey west in pursuit of work. In a season of unforgiving drought, farm workers like the Jodes find themselves struggling for food, non-exploitative labor, and simple dignity. Steinbeck's unassuming, unflinching, and lyrical work is essential reading, not just for American readers, but anyone with a heart. It's no wonder this novel often comes up in lists recommending the best books of all time. Number 3. The Winter of Our Discontent. The Winter of Our Discontent was Steinbeck's final novel. It takes place in a small East Coast town where Ethan Allen Hawley must come to terms with his personal failings, as well as the moral cost inherent in rising in the world. Reminiscent of Arthur Miller's plays, this novel conducts an unsettling search into the dark corners of the human soul, uncovering an inevitable sense of decline and a disheartening discrepancy between the world's appearance and the seedy nature of its true workings. Weighed down by his family's once glorious past and their ambitious expectations, Ethan feels pressured in his every move. As this somber novel walks the line between tragedy and hope, readers find themselves feeling both alienated from and reconnected to their own humanity. Number 4. Of Mice and Men. Another of Steinbeck's popular works regularly taught in schools, this heartbreaking novella takes us back to California in the years of the Great Depression. Here, two farm workers, Lenny and George, chase their dream of owning a piece of land so they can settle down in peace. But childlike and physically powerful Lenny, whose only wish is to keep pet rabbits so he can stroke their soft fur, unwittingly poses difficulties for him and his protective friend. This deeply affecting story about friendship, loneliness, and hope is at once gentle and crushing, and will remain with you long after you've turned the final page. Number 5. Cannery Row. This short novel dispenses with the necessities of conventional narrative arcs. Instead, its purpose is impressionistic, to convey, in around 150 pages, the sense of belonging to a community, a very specific kind of community rooted in the author's memories of his Californian upbringing. You might not think that a tale about a grocery store owner, a biologist, a brothel owner, some drunks, prostitutes, and a few lost souls in a small Californian town would move you, but you would be wrong. Lit by the long shadows of Steinbeck's discerning narration, this humble book touches on something profound and will leave readers sinking into melancholy-tinged nostalgia for a past that isn't even their own. Number 6. Travels with Charlie in Search of America. Literary classics about the American road trip seems to be a category that generally points people to Jack Kerouac's On the Road. But we think you'll have a more temperate, contemplative, and soothing time if you hitch a ride with Steinbeck and his French poodle, Charlie. On the road from California to Maine, Steinbeck shares his wise, keenly observed thoughts about America, its people, landscapes, future, and past. This masterclass in writing nonfiction provides its readers with a great writer's sensitive insights, as well as a gentle push to venture forward into the world with curiosity and openness. Bonus points for the poodle. Number 7. Sweet Thursday. Sweet Thursday takes us back to the world of Cannery Row. But this time, our small town visit centers around a romance, so the pace picks up quite significantly. Though sequels often disappoint, this short book is an exception. Steinbeck returns to some familiar characters with a wholesome fondness and pays testament to the tight bonds of a small-town community. Among many mishaps and accidents, the nobly well-intentioned residents of this book shine through, charming readers. Number 8. The Pastures of Heaven. Pastures of Heaven, as the title suggests, is set in a fertile California valley. But though the valley looks like paradise, its inhabitants' lives are far from heavenly. These 12 interconnected short stories operate as character sketches in a manner reminiscent of Sherwood Anderson, relating the pain and suffering of a wide cast of characters. Among them are a pair of sisters driven to prostitution, a woman dealing with mental health issues, a clerk and single dad doing his best, a father who tries to protect his daughter from too much, and a hard-working farmer on the fence about whether or not he should attend an execution. These heterogeneous stories, told with warmth and humor, all touch on these characters' shared humanity. Number 9. To a God Unknown. Another of Steinbeck's early works, To a God Unknown testifies to Steinbeck's powers of experimentation. The protagonist, Joseph Wayne, sets off for California with his dying father's blessings. There he builds a new home by a giant oak tree, a tree he comes to feel embodies his father's spirit. After a time of prosperity, Joseph's brothers take notice of his pagan worship of the oak and decide to intervene. But once the tree is harmed, a period of relentless drought begins, and the family struggles to survive. This mystical and eerie book, tinged with magical realism, asks spiritual questions related to the environment. Can humans ever really control nature? Is there a higher power behind the mysterious workings of the natural world? Are humans somehow linked to the earth? Number 10. In Dubious Battle. In Dubious Battle is the most overtly political of John Steinbeck's books. Set in a California valley, this is the first of the trio known as the Dust Bowl novels, which also include Of Mice and Men and The Grapes of Wrath. As in the other two books in the group, Steinbeck zeroes in on a community of disenfranchised workers, this time fruit pickers attempting to organize a labor union strike. Pulsing with empathy for the workers, this book tells a gripping, fast-paced story of rising tension, suspense, and danger. Aside from voicing serious concerns about industrial injustice and unrest, Steinbeck also conducts an insightful investigation into the ways in which human behavior changes when people find themselves no longer acting as individuals, but as members of a group. Number 11. The Moon is Down. As we've mentioned, experimentation runs throughout John Steinbeck's books, and The Moon is Down departs from the lush valleys of California, setting its story in a small coastal town under military occupation in an unnamed European country. The National Steinbeck Center explains that this was a propaganda novel in support of people living under Nazi occupation during World War II, and so the book shows how the spirit of resistance takes root in the hearts of the townspeople and the ways in which occupation slowly seeps into their collective psyche. Suppression, Steinbeck demonstrates, creates a simmering need for freedom that is bound to manifest in action. Number 12. The Wayward Bus. The Wayward Bus is a close examination of a disparate group of characters who share a bus journey in post-war California's Salinas Valley. Critics often talk of the short story form as being all middle, and though this book is a full-length novel, its plot adheres to this philosophy. There is no single inciting incident or climax. Their ride on the bus is only a slice of the characters' lives, all of them headed somewhere beyond it. This in-transit narrative is a completely absorbing study of the moment, what places feel like, how people's thoughts move, and how life is comprised of small and insignificant moments.